Still copy pasting Terraform resources for every environment? Stop. Terraform has a better way. Terraform's for each lets you iterate over a collection and create resources or modules for each entry. In this tutorial, we'll learn how to create multiple projects and the project related resources. When we start the tutorial, you will have the code related to just one project. And let's say the project has a VPC and it's got its public subnets and private subnets and a load balancer and then the EC2 instances in your private subnet, right? That's your project one structure. And now we want to scale this to different projects, right? And as your business grows, you want to deploy multiple projects, and each project should have its own infrastructure setup, its own VPC, load balancer, private and public subnets, and also your instances. They're all separate, and even though you are deploying it in the same account, you want to keep it separate and in different VPCs. If how do you do that, achieve that with Terraform and without copy pasting the same resource block code? And if it's just two projects and let's say the business grows and the projects number of projects increase, the you can't keep copy pasting the resource blocks. It will just be like a maintenance nightmare. So that's where for each comes into picture. With just one resource block, you can define the projects using a map. That's what we're going to see in the tutorial next. And you will be able to scale your business infrastructure with as many number of projects as possible. So let's jump into the tutorial. I have already cloned the repository, the tutorial repository here, and I'll just take you through what are the resources. So we've got a module, VPC module, and a security group module, a load balancer security group module as well. And then we have like some strings that probably will be used to generate the names of the resources. And then there we have ELB, the rules. These are probably the ELB ingress and egress rules. And then we have an instance, of course. We have an EMI also. So basically, it's just one project which has a VPC, a load balancer. It'll create the subnets as I've shown in the diagram and the instances. Right now, let's try to go to the variables and understand it's just one project name, client web app, and environment, which is the default is development. We have the number of public subnets are 2, the number of private subnets are 2, and the instance type is D2 micro. This is VPC CIDR block, and these are the public CIDR blocks possible IP addresses and the private CIDR blocks possible addresses. Right now, this is all just a very compact infrastructure where everything is related to just one project. Now let's see how we will scale this up. Now we're going to define a map for project configuration in our variables file. We're going to add the project map here, and let's just try to understand what the project map we have added contains. So we've got client web app and internal web app, basically two projects, and each has got its own configuration with two public subnets, two private subnets, and two instances per subnet. And the instance type is micro and dev, whereas the instance type is nano, and then the environment is test for internal web app. And because now we have all these variables declared as a map, then we don't need to have all these each of these string variables corresponding to just each of the variables of like project name and environment. So we can get rid of these variables. So let's get rid of the variables that we don't need anymore. We got the project, we got the environment. So environment, public subnets, private subnets, instance type. We need VPC CIDR block. So I have created the project map, and I have deleted the variable numbers that we do not need. Now the most important part is to add the for each to all of the places and make sure it iterates over it. So it starts with VPC, and the way to add for each is you write a for each and then you make it it's for each, it's underscore. So you can see that the autocomplete already is this is how you define the for each. And now we have to use the project names and environment names everywhere. It's already pointing us to change it because earlier it was project name, so we need to go and update it. So now in the public and private subnets, if you look at the places where it will start showing that okay, this is not correct, then we will go and just update all of these places. So it's using private subnets. So earlier it was pointing to var.private private subnets per VPC. We have removed that variable. So how we need to access that is each. So you can see that it's each dot for each, right? Each dot value. Which value are we? Each value, and you have to specify the key. The key is private subnets per VPC, and same here. So for each of the values of private subnets per VPC, it'll slice. So the number of private subnets is this are actual values of the CIDR blocks, and then how many are you getting? It's 0, and then each value, each dot value dot private subnets per VPC, which is 2. Okay, so 0 to 2, that'll be the number of private subnets, and public subnets is again 2. Now we need to do the same setting everywhere else where we see that there is an issue, right? Because it's still referring to the old variable names. So again, we have to, for each, remember that everywhere, if you're doing it in a different module, you have to define it each time for each, because each module is its own implementation. And so I have just selected the auto command set. Let's just do the command set. So the project name var dot project name and var dot environment. So let's go to variables. So the key is actually client web app, right? So that is the name of your project. So we will just reference it as h.key. And then whatever is the environment for that, and each dot value dot environment. That makes sense. So again, the same VPC is nothing but each dot key, and the same here. We are going to remove the old variables, and as I said, you need to again define the for each of the projects here, and the project name becomes each dot key, and then the environments become each dot value dot environment. So basically we are creating each security group, each VPC for each project here. And I think we need to do it for the load balancer as well. Load balancer security group, we've done it. I think for the rules, yeah. Same thing. This is each dot key. Again, each dot key, each dot value dot environment, and let's define for each here as well. Project. I think that is each dot value. Again, same thing here. So there's a so we are going to also remove this whole thing and then just make it into a module, an EC2 module. So I'm just going to get rid of it. Yeah, this is not really relevant to the tutorial, but the tutorial actually tries to teach more than one thing wherever refactor it as possible, so that it's cleaner, right? You can see that we have a module EC2 instance, and basically it has already got the war dot project and subnet IDs and everything, each dot key, and you can see that it is using subnet IDs. When you say it is a star, it will take the actual value of it. um, and overdrap. Okay, so I think that's all done. So let's try to apply it again and see whether we get any errors. Okay, so because we have added a new module, we always have to reconfigure it, and the way to do it to install all the modules is to do a Terraform init, and that's successful. And now we'll try to do a Terraform apply. AWS instance up has not been declared. Outputs. Okay, so we might need to correct the outputs as well, because now we have removed some of the things. We might need to correct those things. So let's go up. It's the instance IDs, right? Number of instances. So we are just going to copy paste. So the whole thing, we are going to replace it, and now just to try to understand the outputs as a little bit here, because earlier it was just one thing. Right now what it does is it tries to map through all the values of each DNS name, and it actually goes and fetches the actual value of it and assigns it to this VPC, sorry, the output name. So when you are actually outputting your VPC ARNs, your public DNS names, and also the instance IDs, it will basically get everything that you need. So that is all done. Now that should take care of the earlier error, and let's try to apply it. I thought we have gotten rid of it. Reference Terraform apply 75 main.tf. This is a different error. Instances 75. So let me just check what the issue is. Yeah, I have corrected that issue. Earlier it was still referencing to the AWS instance, app instance that we were using. We've changed it to modules, so we need to change the ELB HTTP rule also, where instances will be pointing to the actual module EC2 instances. So it is module dot the name of the module EC2 instances, and for each of the instances you'll get the instance IDs. These are all the instances. So let's see if that will help. Number of instances is equal to length of again the same thing here, and we will just say module EC2 instances, and it is the length of it. So now we will try to apply it. and the variable module dot vpc dot subnets, the module dot vpc dot public subnets. Okay, we've got so many errors. Let me go through all the errors and fix it and come back to you, and then I'll explain what are the changes I have done. So let's just go through each error and try to fix it so that everyone understand what exactly is the problem here. So line 38 is vpcid module.vpc underscore vpcid, right? So again, this was pointing to the original configuration, and what we need to do is vpc each dot key. I'll explain what that means. So what we try to do is for each project, whatever is for each of the security group, it'll how many security groups are creating. You are creating security groups for each project, right? And basically, you're iterating it for whenever you're iterating it for that project. What is that project's VPC ID? So you're getting that VPC ID. So that is the same case everywhere. We will be referencing the infrastructure of that project. So whether it is VPC or any of those things, you will be it's VPC of that key, which is your, if you look at it, whether it is your client web app or internal web app. So we have already fixed the VPC ID, and also the another one, the second one, the subnet side of blocks as well. So let's go to line 51. Again, the same thing, and main.tf line 51. Again, it's pointing to the old configuration. So again, we have the for each here, and the auto completion is asking you to take the each key, and I'm pretty sure that is the next thing which it was. So if you see here, the public subnets, maybe security group. So I'll be security groups. Security groups. Is it security and public subnets? So subnets, yeah, it's this one. 72. I think it's talking to vpc dot public subnets. So you have to change this one. Again, each key dot public subnets star. Okay, let's take what autocorrect is telling us to do, and then let's just try to apply it and see if that resolves all the issues. Otherwise, I'll go and check and come back. Okay, so I think now we have resolved all other errors, just one more error, so which is the security group 71. We don't have LB security group. Is it each key? Let's just do this and see what happens. Yeah, now it's working. Now it's trying to recreate the configuration. I'm going to pause my video so that everything gets created and come back. So the Terraform apply has finished. We're going to do a Terraform output to see what are the outputs, the resources that we have created. We have given, if you remember, we have given defined our VPC ARNs, public DNS name, and instance IDs. So we've got all of them here. So we have our instance IDs for the client web app project and internal web app project. We have two instances, and we have public DNS names for the load balancers, and we have the VPC ARNs as well. That is how you can scale multiple projects using for each blocks. The biggest Terraform wins come from reducing repetition. Forage helps you manage multiple resources from a single configuration, making your infrastructure easier to scale and maintain. Thanks for watching. If you want to learn more Terraform and watch Terraform content, please do subscribe to my channel and also consider liking my videos. Thank you. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.